Steve Helwick joining us from Hustle Belt. You can join it on SB Nation. It's the platform that they have right there for MAC football and MAC athletics. Is it just a football site or is it all sports?
We cover primarily football. We do a lot of basketball too. We had writers at the MAC championship last season. We've sent writers to the Cotton Bowl before. I was one of them last year. So we go all over the place this year. And I think we'll have one at the NIU Duke Quick Lane Bowl, and I will probably be at the Dollar General Bowl, so we can get coverage there. We do basketball, and every once in a while we'll give updates on non-revenue sports or MAC players and the pros.
So there's always a discussion in the postseason concerning the Power Five conferences and trying to match them up, and we get a number of cross-sectional games in which people are trying to draw conclusions on who's the best conference, and there's a battle waged there. In the group of five, your thoughts about the group of five and where the MAC would position itself right now? How good is this conference, do you think?
I would probably rank the MAC out of the 10 conferences 8th, but above just the Sun Belt and the CUSA. But then you have to look at the track that since 2014, I compiled the data, and the Conference USA is 11-6, has the best winning percentage in bowls over every single conference. The MAC is the worst at 5-13, just winning about 28% of their games. So Conference USA has been driven by Western Kentucky and Louisiana Tech winning those bowl matchups in the last year, and that's given them an advantage. The MAC has gotten a lot of unfavorable matchups. They've also, in recent years, they've been one of, I think it's 3 conferences, just the Mountain West, the American, and the MAC have made that New Year's Six/BCS Bowl, with Northern Illinois going in 2012 and Western Michigan going in 2016. So I think that's something that can boost the MAC above the CUSA and Sun Belt, even though they're not performing well in bowl games. They'll have a lot of top-heavy teams. And another thing, the MAC gets to play a lot of Big Ten teams, and usually you get to see a few upsets each year. This year we saw Northern Illinois take down Nebraska, Eastern Michigan beat Rutgers, and we see a few every year. Northwestern lost to Western Michigan last year, as did Illinois. So the MAC does do sort of well in these Power 5 games, but a lot of their bowl matchups I draw aren't as good.
And certainly the conference has picked off Purdue and Illinois a number of times in recent years as well out of the Big Ten. And because of the proximity and the footprint of the two conferences, there are a number of games scheduled there. And then we don't get to see, as we do everyone else, get to see the MAC take on the other conferences until obviously postseason play. So for you, what would be a good bowl record, or not necessarily the bowl record, but let's focus more on the performance. What would you like to see out of the MAC? What do you expect to see, and what do you think would help the perception of the conference in these 5 games?
Toledo definitely has to win. As a conference champion, I know App State is a co-Sun Belt champion. You got to beat the Sun Belt if the MAC wants to prove anything, especially when the best team in the MAC is going up against the Sun Belt. So that one is one you definitely need to win to prove something. I said Akron's probably a given loss. Ohio is probably a given win over UAB. So that leaves us to the 2 other games, Central Michigan versus Wyoming and Northern Illinois versus Duke. Obviously, a win over an ACC opponent will do the most in other people's eyes. I'm talking people like the committee that seem a little biased at times against the group of 5. UCS record right now, the fact that San Diego State's not ranked, a lot of group of 5 teams not getting the respect they deserve from them. So definitely beating the Power 5 would do the most in terms of gaining respect. Last year, the MAC nearly knocked off an SEC team. Miami, Ohio played Mississippi State down to the wire, 17-16. Miami's play calling got conservative late. They settled for a field goal, and they didn't really have a kicker that was capable of making that field goal, and it got blocked, and Mississippi State left with a 17-16 victory. The MAC just has to get one of those wins this year. They have to do everything that they can to beat a Power 5 team. So I think, other than Toledo, the most pressure in bowl season is on NIU to get that win, especially for a team that's already beaten Nebraska this season and hung close with a ranked San Diego State team.
Yeah, that would be a nice win for the MAC. Obviously, you can't make a direct comparison because the seeding's off. Duke's probably the 11th to 12th seed, something like that, in the ACC, a conference that's getting, I believe, 12 bowl bids, something like that. I'm not looking at the situation right here, but I know Georgia Tech missed and North Carolina, Syracuse. So they're close to it. At 3-5, there's a glut of 3-5 teams. I don't know where we would see Duke exactly, but somewhere in that 9 to 12 range. And then obviously Northern Illinois in the same boat, in which they finished, I think, 6-2 in the conference and 8-4 overall. So they're tied with the glut of teams, but would be fighting for a 2 seed, anything from a 2 to 5 seed in the MAC. But that would be tremendous for the MAC to be able to pull off a win against Duke, and it's certainly not unthinkable or unreasonable to consider that to be a game into the fourth quarter for sure. Steve Helwick joining us from Hustle Belt, the MAC platform on SB Nation, to run down all the bowl games involving the MAC. There's 5 in all. And Steve, we appreciate you breaking things down for us.
Thank you.